Going to catch up on one of our very, very good friends and a sponsor of our show. And he joins us now, and that is our good friend and Assemblyman, Mr. Mike Miller. Mike, how are you?
Okay, how you doing?
Good. Back on the air.
It's like deja vu.
So how you been? What's new?
I'm doing very well. We started, back up in Albany, going back and forth, and first few weeks we're doing 2 days and 3 days, and working on the budget. The governor presented his budget, and we're, trying to pick it apart and see where we can make some changes, and see how we can better the take that we have for the people, that we represent. And then we'll have something prepared, our version of the budget prepared, and negotiate with the Senate and the governor and ourselves as to what we think the budget should be. And it's anticipated that this year we should be done by March 21st, because we won't be back from that date until after April 1st, and it's due, of course, by the end of March. So things are, jammed up. Every week we have budget hearings and trying to hear testimony about, what people need and what communities need, and go from there. And so that's what we've been working on upstate. Locally, just the normal things that go on in the community. I was pretty lucky to be able to provide some financial relief to, organizations within the community, and we haven't been able to do that the past couple of years because it always gets vetoed. But this year we found a way to do it, and
excellent.
We helped a number of organizations, and that should help out greatly in Woodhaven especially. We have a number of organizations in Woodhaven, the Senior Center, you guys, the Woodhaven Local Development. For the upcoming year, we have we put in the Sisters of Notre Dame for a program they have, and it just goes on and on from there. But we're happy to at least be able to bring something.
Very good. That's good news.
It's your money. It's our money. It's tax dollars that we're able to bring back, and I have to give kudos, to the speaker. Found a way to make it happen.
Very good. That's excellent news. Now you're you're operating now under slightly different district lines now than you were when we last spoke.
Right.
So you've got a whole large new segment of your constituency that you are introducing yourself to. Right. How are you going about that, and how's that coming along?
Well, we have 2 areas that were added, Ozone Park all the way down the city line, and Ridgewood, from like Underdunk to Wyckoff down to Green Avenue. It's a nice little chunk. And so we've been out in the community. We're identifying organizations that, do work within the community, and just introducing ourselves, see what they need, see how we could be helpful, and go from there. Reaching out to the churches and the usher societies and, the different schools that are out there, public schools and private schools. And, we have a lot of programs that we do. We do Student of the Month. We do different programs for different holidays. This past week we did, Valentine's for Vets, and we opened it up to all the schools, and a number of them, took advantage of it. And just out identifying, community groups, such as yours. I identified yours in the beginning, and we're doing the same thing in Ozone Park and Amos Mutual Aid Society, operates on 101st down near 75th, 76th Street, and we identified some in Ridgewood, working with a church. Funny that we used to have Boy Scouts in the church on Seneca Avenue, and now I'm working with the new congregation there to start up a food pantry. So
nice.
It's getting back in the building. It looks the same as it did, 30 years ago. But
wow,
it's a different congregation, and we're just starting up different programs. And we just got to get the word out that Mike Miller's here, and we work for you. We're here to help you, 24 hours a day, and we want you to utilize our service. And that's
now tell me, as you're moving into these, now you're moving into different communities. You've been familiar with us and the issues that are important to us, the problems we face, the things we, bitch and moan about. What are some of the things, that you're hearing about from the residents in that section of Ozone Park, in that section of Ridgewood? What are some of the main, topics of conversation there? What are their top concerns?
Well, I know in Ozone Park, crime is a big concern. People getting mugged, getting mugged for their cell phone. That's a big issue. Mm-hmm. People walking back and forth, to the train at night, early in the morning, getting mugged, and that's an issue, number one. The second is noise, but not so much, house to house. Where they're helping us identify clubs that open up, and after hour clubs, they serve alcohol to minors, and they're packed, and people, of course, they're out in the street, they're making noise, they're urinating on people's property, and so those are immediate things that we're working on and identifying. Ridgewood, is a little different. There's still crime in the area, in that section of Ridgewood, and that's the main issue. There were a couple of shootings lately. With the last couple months in Ridgewood, a store owner was killed, and someone walking on the street. And although on the 104th there may be 8 shootings in a year, in a month there was 2, and so that caused a lot of panic. So we're trying to calm that down and work with the 104. Just like we do with the 102 with the car break-ins on Woodhaven Boulevard by the co-ops. When it happens, we call them, they're on it. It's the same thing in the 104. So they have the command unit. They bring it out. There's a big police presence, and things calm down, and they try and do that. So although every area is the same, it really is in a way different. Ridgewood is more of a robbery type of crime, robbing stores, shootings. Ozone Park is muggings and stealing your phone and your bag and what's in your car and things like that. So similar issues.
So now it's interesting because from what I'm hearing you talking about, I guess you have to work with you work with the 102, but you're also going to be working with the 104 and the 106.
Right.
You're working with a number of different precincts on these. Do you see any difference in the way these 3 precincts are tackling their issues? Not to say one is better than the other, but do you think any of them are taking a unique approach that could be learned from?
Well, I know, like in the 104, now there's a new captain there. Inspector Cody was there for 2 years, and he was promoted to another precinct. He kind of goes where they need help in straightening things out, and he was moved to the precinct in Jackson Heights, and now we have Captain Manson. And when I spoke about the shootings and the crime that was going on in Ridgewood, his immediate response was, I've already taken care of that. We're already doing an Operation Impact in the area where they just flood the area with police uniform and non-uniform police and try to infiltrate, the bad guys, okay, for lack of a better term. And so that's what they're doing. That's how he handled it in the 104. 102, you have issues like the break-in, and he, the captain would send cars over. They concentrate in the area. And I have to say, with the last break-in, and it came up at your meeting, the last meeting, you know, within 2 days they had the guy that was breaking into the cars. And so, you know, they know their job, they know their community, and they know how to handle it. And that's why we leave it up to them. You know, we just call them and give them a tip and say, hey, this is going on, and they're able to put their personnel out and handle it.
So now, next week at our town hall, we're bringing in community affairs. These guys are coming from downtown, from New York City,
right?
Coming out to Woodhaven to give us a presentation on some of the programs community affairs has available, and we're looking forward to that. But they're also going to give us a longer presentation on block watchers. And what's your read on this program and how it could help a community such as Woodhaven?
Well, you know, the Block Watcher program started many, many years ago. A lot of back then, you know, crime was prevalent. I mean, crime was all over. You know, it was a tough. Everybody was suffering from it, and every community had, you know, crime, and so people wanted to do things. Okay. You know, Glendale, we started a civilian patrol. Other communities like Woodhaven started a block watcher program, and you're doing that again. As long as your block watchers, okay, follow the rules. You know, do the job the way you're supposed to do it. You see something, give them your number, call it in, give them your ID number. You know, the cops will utilize that information. They'll come quicker, knowing that, you know what, this is a legitimate call and it's happening now. And, you know, I think it's a good program. I think it's something that, you know, you should follow. It's going to make your community safer. It's going to make Woodhaven safer in that there's going to be, you know, we always say in like civilian patrol that we're the eyes and ears of the police department. Block watchers are going to be the eyes and ears of the police department. And they're going to rely on that, you know, because you're going to be like, you're one of them. You know, you're one of the program looking out for your community. And when that call comes in, they're going to pay more attention to a call like that.
Excellent, very good. We're very excited and very encouraged to see how this is going to play out. I'm
sure there are a lot of people that were a block watcher years ago. They may still have their ID number and everything. You know, nostalgia. You know,
that's a good question to find out if they're still. You know, I guess they'll still have to go through the training probably, but.
Absolutely. I mean, it's. Although it's the same block watcher program, I'm sure there are new, you know, regulations that have to be followed, and they have to have the training. But it's interesting to see how many people did it back then, you know, and may still have their old number and their old ID card and everything that went along with the program.
Sure. Well, I know. Just in speaking to a few of the officers from the city, one in particular who when I was explaining it to him, I was telling him, you know, we had 51 people signed up currently, and he said, "Wow, that's really good." And then I explained to him, I said, "Well, that's just from Woodhaven. That's just the Woodhaven section of the 102nd precinct. That's not the entire precinct."
Right.
And he said he was impressed with that. And we have since produced a map, you know, showing people where the locations where the people who signed up for the block watchers are. And we did it really simply. We just fed the addresses into, you know, Google Maps, and it just did the rest for us. And, you know, we can see we've got good coverage throughout our community. And, you know, what we've been explaining to people is you're not just limited to what you see on your block.
Right.
You know, if you're on your way home from work and you see, you know, some shady characters hanging out at the street corner on a regular basis, call it in. You know, you're the eyes and ears of the cops, as you say.
You see something, you got to say something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and talk about
and
calling. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, talk about calling it in. You know, a bunch of years ago, you know, on my corner, there was a group of kids that would hang out, smoke pot, sell pot, intimidate people. They'd be crossing the street to walk around them, you know, and we weren't going to tolerate it. And at that time, they had the CPOP cops, like the community police that took care of a certain number of blocks. And so I saw the CPOP cop. I explained to him what was happening. And he came on that corner every day for 3 or 4 days, wrote tickets, got them to move, harassed them. They never came back, and they never went to the next corner. They just dispersed. So if you report something, if you stay on top of something, it'll get taken care of. The police officers know how to do their job.
That's great. So tell me, what have you got on your calendar in the near future?
This week we're not in session, so I have a lot of meetings in my office with different groups and people within the community. I'll be going to the senior centers, hitting up the community groups that I haven't seen in a while, because sometimes Monday to Wednesday you're upstate, so I don't always get to make some of the meetings. I did have a proclamation for Inspector Cody from the 104 because he did a phenomenal job. I work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and when I needed him at 2, 3 in the morning, I would text him or call him. He took care of it in minutes, and I appreciated that. So when he left, we had a proclamation, but I couldn't get to the 104th Community Council meeting because I had to go to another community meeting. So I missed my opportunity there, but I want to hook up with him and bring him that proclamation. Just thank him for the work he did. And it's just meeting with other groups. I'll be all around the area this week.
Great. All right, well, listen, Mike, it's good to have you back. It's good to be back, and we look forward to
I missed the show, and I'm glad that you're on, and I'm glad that we can call up and chat, and I appreciate you giving me a few minutes.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
All right. Good night.
All right. Be well, Mike.
All right. Good night.
That's our Assemblyman Mike Miller, everybody.